welcome to Bizarre and Spooky Podcast. I am Barb, your host. Since vacation season is coming up, I wanted to share 5 spooky haunted locations in Canada that you can visit on your next vacation. These locations hold dark histories involving disembodied sounds, tragic deaths, and the discovery of human remains. If this intrigued you to discover some spooky locations, then stay tuned. The first location will be the Niagara Falls Power Station in Niagara Falls, Ontario. In 1905, William Rankin was the founder of Canada's first major power station. He fell in love and married Annette Kittredge Norton in Niagara Falls, New York. Shortly after their wedding, William died of congestive heart failure. Annette fell into a deep depression and developed a desperate desire to contact her beloved husband. She went to all the mediums in the area, and no matter how many she went to, they could not help her communicate with William. Suffering for her unsuccessful quest, she spiraled down into a deeper depression and grief. When she felt she could not live like that anymore, she disappeared and was never seen again. Years after Annette's disappearance, the staff at the power station would see a well-to-do woman in a fur coat all around the thrust deck. These encounters had many staff members believing it's Annette continuing her search for her husband, desperate to reunite with him after death. Location number 2. Toronto Harbor at Toronto Island lives the Gilbertator Point Lighthouse. This lighthouse has guided ships into the harbor since it was built in 1808, when Toronto was called York. It is the oldest of its kind still standing in the Great Lakes and the second oldest in Canada. In the late 1950s, the lighthouse was decommissioned as a working lighthouse, but has remained a popular tourist destination. Some tourists have claimed to hear moaning sounds and light shining from inside the lighthouse when no one was around it. Locals believe these sightings could be the first lighthouse keeper, J.P. Radin Muller. His mysterious death in 1815, many years after his disappearance, a set of human bones were found near the lighthouse. According to the local legend, Radin Muller was supplying soldiers liquor, and in one version, he watered down the liquor that he was selling, and a few of the soldiers found out and killed him for it. Another version, he decided to close up shop early, and the soldiers got really angry and killed him. They disembodied him and buried his remains all around the lighthouse grounds. A figure that resembles Rodin still continues to be spotted at the lighthouse to this day. The next location is Prince George Hotel, located downtown King Street across from the Confederate Park. This hotel is reported to be so haunted that it caught the attention of an American ghost hunting show. They did a whole episode about it. The Prince George Hotel was built in 1809 for the Herchmer family. When they lived in the hotel, the family believed the youngest daughter, Lily, was having an affair with a sailor. It was reported that Lily would light a lantern every night as a symbol it was safe for him to come visit her. One night, after she lit the lantern, she became very tired and fell asleep, waiting for her lover to come. While asleep, a gust of wind came and knocked the lantern over and set fire to her room. Lily burned to death. It is said that Lily still waits for her lover to come. The hotel's main floor hosts an Irish and British pub, and the former hotel rooms are now converted into loft apartments. The tenants still encounter sightings of Lily's ghost. Location number 4 on the list is Mather's Walls House, located in Kenmore, Ontario. There is a Victorian-style house that is said to be so haunted that Creepy Canada did an episode about the hauntings. The house was built in 1889. Usually locations are haunted by the first owners or keepers, but in this story, the house is haunted by the most recent resident, Ina Wells. Strange and paranormal activities have been witnessed by the current employees of the house. Objects mysteriously go missing, footsteps walk up and down the steps and can be heard, and sightings of shadowy figures moving throughout the rooms. People are so spooked by these experiences that they started to give ghost tours of the home from May until September. If you're in the area, you too can book a tour and maybe experience these spooky sightings for yourself. The last location on this episode is the Kingston Penitentiary, located in Kingston, Ontario. Canada's oldest maximum security prison closed in 2013 after being operational for 170 years. During this time, it had developed a spooky history, and now the prison is open for tours. One employee named Riley had relayed her paranormal encounters that she had experienced on her first tour she led. Riley said she heard the sound of keys jingling behind her, and when she turned around, there was nothing there. A few minutes later, she saw a shadowy figure of a man walking quickly towards her. Riley talked to other employees after her encounter, and they told her about William Wentworth, how he was the last prison guard to die in the prison in 1961. William was working the night shift when he was stabbed to death, and his killer was never identified, and William's death remains a mystery to this day. Another ghost that is said to haunt the prison is George Hoole. He was one of the most violent inmates. He would attack guards and fellow inmates daily. In 1897, when he tried to attack a guard on duty that day, the guard defended himself and killed George in self-defense. With George's dying breath, he swore he would seek revenge. His ghost has been sighted many times over the years. With this, I will conclude this episode of Canada's Haunted Locations Part 1. Stay tuned for Part 2 next time. Are you brave enough to visit one or all of these locations? Leave a comment on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter on which locations you would like to visit from this episode, or you can email me some other locations you would like to hear about on this podcast at bizarreandspooky@gmail.com. In the subject title, put listener stories and I'll make sure I get it. Thank you for listening to Bizarre and Spooky Podcast. Until next time, have a spooky night.